the victory, 128 laps without a pit stop.
Donnie Kite's gonna get through it all and score his first career win. Saturday Night Racing League and throwback at Charlotte goes to Josh Adams.
Here out of turn 4.
Tries to slam the door, but they sends him right back up the racetrack.
Big moment for Boney between him and Dexter.
It's Ryan Kuhn yet again out of turn number 4. He's going to win for a second time in the Misfit Touring Series.
And it's all about Christian Peterson out front. 9 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 4 times he's finished runner-up. But tonight, it's the first time win here in the Touring Series.
Christian Peterson, after 17 races, finally gets it done.
Tonight, a new season gets kicked off. Short track racing all across the iRacing service gets ready to see how these tracks and these drivers perform as we welcome you to V-Speed's coverage of the Mystic Touring Series. Its third season kicks off for 2025-26 with a trip to Florida. Hello everybody, welcome to tonight's action brought to you by RaceMRL.com. We're just about set for what's going to be a busy night of action here from Five Flags Speedway. It's going to be a competitive season, to say the very least. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside me in the booth for tonight is Gavin Grubbs. Morgan Cook is our producer, using cameras by the great Dougie Beard. Today, the drivers are getting set for a busy time. 150 laps on the docket, Gavin. Five Flags Speedway, the track, one of the epitones when it comes to short track racing, one of the pillars of all short track events happen here with the Snowball Derby, and tonight it kicks off the series for Misfit.
I am so excited to be here with you, Justin. I am super pumped to be part of this new season for the Misfit Touring Series here with the late model stock cars. Five Flags is one of my favorite tracks on the sim on iRacing. I really like the medium banking at the corners. You know, it's a 2-lane racetrack. You can't really run the top, but you can run bottom to middle, and the middle is more effective, but I feel like you can do a good job pinning somebody down if you run the middle, and it is hard to pass here, but not impossible. Should create some exciting racing.
It'll be an interesting night, to say the very least, to see who kicks things off right, who puts themselves in position to be able to compete for the third championship in series history. Now, as these drivers move on from tonight, it's going to be important to think about how these drivers play the tires. It's worth noting, because we get ready to see how these drivers grid up in the next few moments or so. It's important to mention one thing. There's no tire sets in this series tonight. In our words, you better know how to save them, Gavin. You cannot afford to cook them.
Now, 150 laps here is a long time. You know, a half a mile track that's a pretty big track for these late model stocks, and 150 laps is a long race. So you're going to have to see guys managing their tires really for the first 100, maybe even first 125 laps of this race, and just really fighting to stay on the lead lap. That way they have the tires to win at the end if there is a late caution.
Remember, open setup, so the top teams, if you know how to build them, you know how to be fast. As long as you know how to drive a steering wheel, hit the braking marks, know how to drive a racing line, and about 25 other points. But these drivers are getting ready to see how things score to start off the season. Season 1, the champion was Jake Sylvia. Christian Peterson won it with just one win in Season 2. Season 3 could have plenty of questions. But tonight, how about some different drivers than the usual suspects? It's Dylan Delaney who starts on the pole tonight, a 16.690. 2 1,000ths was the difference to Ethan Wolf, will start to his outside at his late model star. Jake Sylvia, you can find him in third. Then it was Kyle Turczak, who won a lot of races last season, but was still second in the championship. He looks for redemption this season. Travis Owen starts in fifth, with Aaron Harden to the outside of row number 3. Row number 4 keeps up things very tight. He tied, in fact, with 6, Jake Grout. Then it's Aiden Gratz will start in the 8th position in car 72. Rounding your top 10, Cody Dempster in the 16.7 still. Then it's Tanner Berge, should say. Berge likes to have his name pronounced that way. That's why there's a bracket to his E tonight.
Matthew Knott is starting 11th with Jace Hale on his outside of row 11. Row 12, we have Thomas Dean and Grant Brown. Row 13, Jesse James in the 60 car is 15th, and Brandon Wynn is in 16th place in the 41 car.
That's all touch fun with tonight's running order here on V-Speed as the field gets ready for 150 laps. Gavin, as these drivers get themselves onto the grid, they are given a few moments here to make sure things. It looks like one driver making sure they get the right setup in the car. What are some of your keys to victory here tonight?
I think with this open setup, a lot of the keys to victory are actually, before the race, in the preparation and building the setup and making sure you have, if it's just yourself, a lot of testing time, or if you have a team, really good communication, being able to tell the guys working on your setup what the car did while you were testing, while you were practicing, and just be ready and be prepared for 150 laps here around 5 flags.
Going to be interesting who comes out on top. Who do you think starts off strong for this season? For reference, last season, it was Stafford that was the circuit, and Turczak came away with the win in that one in overtime. Who do you think gets it done this time out to try and start off Season 3 here at 5 Flags?
I'm looking at this front row of cars right now. They were the fastest in qualifying, and Dylan Delaney and Ethan Wolf starting there on the front row. I really think one of them is already at an advantage. They do have the fastest cars here. That usually means their setup is going to be really good. But, like we said, there are no sets of tires in the pits. I don't know if it's possible to pick a favorite here kicking off the season.
It'll be interesting to watch for Delaney and his teammate up here, and Ethan Wolf. Both drivers actually with Ryan Kuhn's organization, believe, in terms of some of the setup side of things. Ethan Wolf actually moving to the side, and and that's a part of the invert process. Remember, we were talking with race control. There is an invert, a part of the series as well here at Gavin. So with that invert dice, which they have now placed, the invert will be 4 + 2 is the exact total. Wolf and Delaney with the invert, we'll start row 3 instead. And that instead, with the invert, we'll put Harden in control.
You know, I still don't think that changes who I think has the biggest advantage. I think this race is long enough that the cars that were fastest in qualifying and were up near the front in practice are going to be able to find their way to the front.
Funnily enough, a lot of RKM cars towards the front of the field here. We'll see how Ryan Kuhn's setups go flying with Travis Owens up here in the second position. But the field's all set to go. We're happy to have you with us here on V-Speed. A new season for the Misfit Touring Series, part of a busy campaign. You have the full season of races, 15 races strong. You have 2 different Dash for Cash nights on the campaign and a Triple Crown Showdown as well. One point, a mystery race. They'll go around for 1 more pace lap as they've extended the caution period 1 more time around. So it's an opportunity for drivers to make sure they get the heat on the tires. Of note, Jesse Janes missed the starting grid because of a technical issue. So the 60 will have to start from pit road. They're going to have to be hoping for a caution flag. Outside of that, I think we're just about ready this time.
I don't know about you, but I am ready to get this season started.
Let's get this season started. Pace truck is off. The green flag is up. We're underway for the Misfit Touring Series from Five Flags.
Watching me go through 1 and 2, it looks like Aaron Harden has a huge lead already. I'm wondering how he's going to be able to manage these tires that I have not been able to shut up about yet. He's out to a solid lead. Let's watch everybody file in line and just see how they're able to position themselves for this long night of racing.
So Harden, who usually has had experience driving in the past with teams like EPI, running up at the front of the field, all while Delaney making a lot of passes. There's a look at your race leader. Started in the 17-1s on the push. Clean air, very helpful in this type of car. But so far, just trying to run that bottom of the racetrack, already up by a second. He is not saving tire.
He's not at all, and I'm interested to see how this plays out. You know, they did build these setups to be able to drive exactly for the cars to be driven how they want to drive them. So I wouldn't be too worried yet, but if his lead keeps growing and growing, you have to wonder how his tires are going to look here 50, 60, even 70 laps into this race. That is 150 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting where things go in the long run. We've seen people just fade away that far back over the course of a run. Ethan Wolf following on to the bottom of the racetrack. Looking to settle things up. Technically, in scoring, was given a lead lap, but it's right behind that 15 who's already taken advantage of the invert. That CBM car just riding the bottom and trying to plant. Kyle has won a lot in this series, but not a championship yet in regards to this side of the series. In fact, he won a ton last campaign. Looking back to the history books from last season, he ended up winning 4 of the final 5 races, a part of the, at the time, 18 race spread for 2024-25, but still finished about 62, 68 points back-ish in the final standings. It was a competitive season, but not a championship, because the champion Peterson was Mr. Consistent.
And you gotta think that he knows that, and he remembers not seeing his name as the champion despite winning all those races, and he is going to be locked in all season long here in Season 3 of the Misfit Racing Tour.
10 wins specifically, but he only had 19 top 5s and top 10s on the campaign. Peterson was 21 top 5s, 24 top 10s in the 28 career starts. Some of his history in this series. Once some of the races put up in the campaign, it was 12 top 5s, 14 top 10s on the way to said championship. That's some of the history. So we're looking at right now the battle for 10th. Not great. Hale amongst these at the back of the group. You can see some drivers trying the outside, but it's not working yet, not really rubbered in.
No, it is not. As you see him starting to organize himself single file now. As I say that, we see a car step out of lineup near the front, trying to get that outside line going, but it looks to me like he is just fading back. Now he's trying to find a way to get back to the inside row.
Trying to find a way to sort out pretty quickly here is what you can say so far, but right now, just marching their way around the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find a plan. Owens, who started outside front row, all the way down to 8. Not the way, obviously, you plan things out, but he is trying a bit of a different line, trying to arc it down through turn 4, get the power off the banking with a bit of a double diamond, per se, in 3 and 4, but staying to the bottom in 1 and 2.
Yeah, it really looked like he was one of the first cars down to the bottom of the track in turn 1 there, especially compared to the cars in front of him. I don't know if he's trying that shallow entry to really just shorten up the corner, or if it's a higher strategy, or if he's just trying to maintain a little bit of clean air on that nose because those cars in front of him are arcing the corner a little bit later. And now we're going to take a look at the leader, Aaron Harden, and I've been looking up at the lap times. He's been about a tenth a second a lap slower than the 2 cars behind him. We saw him jump out to that huge lead, but it's starting to shrink now.
Yeah, that was to be expected here. Harden, the builder for is starting to fade as we were predicting on the push. Usually you can push hard for about 15 laps, then you pay the price. Now it's going to be about can he defend over the course of the long run. He is still maintaining the 1 second for now. He's picked up speed a little bit, but Ethan Wolf, keep in mind, is quicker than second place in that 15 machine by about a tenth of a second a lap 2. If anything, Wolf, if he finds a way around, could close this even quicker than what the 2 of them are doing working together.
Yeah, and I'm looking up here at the lap timing right now, and Cody Dempster was the fastest car on the track that last lap. He's even faster than all 4 cars in front of him. So watch this top 5, top 4 cars as they get closer and closer together, meet in the middle. We should see some really interesting racing for the lead.
Dave Dempster bringing his chassis forward right now, trying to find a way to go forward, even more so up 4 so far. Second biggest mover to Grant Brown, in fact, so far in the race. Those 2 on the same chassis. They are lockstep. Look at this. They actually passed by Delaney. Delaney pushed up in the marbles, and Delaney has all of a sudden had a technical issue, so that's not good. All this as well.
He's back, and he's lost another spot.
Yeah, that was a little bit sketchy potentially for Berge to have to deal with, but outside of that, the 2 cars we talked about, Dempster and Brown, close friends, closely moving ahead as we take a look at towards the back of the field. Still trying to get the second line work. He does not. Now he's got the bottom, and not looking to make a pass. Will get 9th back. See just how much he's having to saw and wheel Knott is with these bumps. This scan, even back then and still today, pretty bumpy racing surface. This scan around 2013-ish for what it was put on the iRacing surface. But you still have to be able to feel those nuances, the bumps. If you do not feel those bumps and don't get that throttle point right, you can easily loop this car around.
Yeah, Five Flags is one of the trickiest tracks on the surface because of that. One problem area I've noticed in my time here is kind of that turn 4 exit. It is really easy to loop the car there if you get on the throttle just a little bit too hard.
So overall though, here's the tough part. How do you make a pass? I know how simple a question that is here, Gavin. But so far, the majority of the time here, it's been hard to pass. How about some blocking going on? As here comes the big one. Zach drops his way out behind Dempster and Brown as they have just absolutely blistered the way through the pack.
You know, you asked how to pass, and I think Cody Dempster answered your question there for you. Just wanted more than the car in front of you, and he just kind of forced his way by. He didn't make any contact or do anything dirty or questionable, but it was a very aggressive move. You know, we're only on lap about to be 30 in this race. He ran the bottom of the front straightaway so he could get a better, more leverage in turn 1 and 2 to get around that car, and he is closing in fast on Earnhardt. He's over 2 seconds, over 2/10 of a second a lap faster that last time around.
With sim racing, but also one of the names that do have real world experience. Works the marketing side with Patriot Media and Marketing Services. Very notable name on the iRacing service when you talk about some of the connections built up there. But Dempster, as a driver, has been able to get wins at the national level, has been able to get karting opportunities, has been able to compete track runs. He's actually got his own Wikipedia page because he made some starts at the Cars Late Model Stock Car Tour in 2024 and 2025 a few times, as well as a 2020 start in a Super Late Model Tour. He's looking to take over the lead. The former Colorado National Speedway champion cannot make the pass yet, stays back in line.
Yeah, he has so much momentum right now, and he is just flying up to the front. But now you got to wonder if he's going to be a little bit more patient here to get around Harden, or if he's just, yeah, I don't think he's going to be patient. I think he's going to make this move right here, right now. Cody Dempster fighting for the lead down the back straightaway.
Here he goes, a little bit higher up, pushes the 77 a bit to the marbles. Dempster got the edge this time for the lead lap, just needs to complete the pass. Is Cottle Chassis. Doesn't need any coddling here. He's able to make the pass and is able to jump to the race lead. Grant Brown right on his doorstep.
You were asking me before the race if I had any drivers who I feel like are a favorite. I know this might be cheating now, but now that we have 36 laps under our belt and have seen a little bit of what's going on, I think I'm going to go ahead and say that Cody Dempster might be my pick to win.
I think he might be very difficult to beat here. Grant Brown, also the same potential case here in regards to his speed. Driver that's been able to appear on races, also has experience in real life to the Patriot branding. But the Big 8 Series also has competed one time over the years, made an ARCA West Ignite Race Fuel Series start back in 2010. That's a long time ago in terms of that history. So, been around a fair bit in terms of the racing scene when it comes to Grant Brown as he tries to follow his teammate. Different lines here, one on the outside, one on the inside.
You know, you gotta wonder if as teammates, if they're kind of letting each other get a little bit of clean air through the corners, that way they don't have to fight the car as much and scrub off as much speed, be able to take care of the tires a little more, or if it was just that one lap, is now they're starting to settle in with each other.
Take a look at Matthew Knott as the fan base is coming out to support him tonight. Knott up 4 so far. Reverse started outside the invert spots. His machine is to pick up some momentum. The Nautical Marine car. Right now he's running 17 5s and 6s. Doing pretty consistent. He is looking comfortable to hold on to at least 7th here. But he needs to find that extra 10th consistently to keep up with Wolf and Company in the next pack.
Yeah, I'm looking at timing and scoring. There's 1 or 2 cars in front of him that he might be a little bit faster than. He might be able to pick up a few more spots. I think he's going to be a fun one to watch here over the next few laps to see if he can reel in these top 6 cars.
This race is flying on by already. 107 and coming 106 to go for some of these drivers. Chase Hale. He's running the Cuddy Sheet Speed Machine. The number 9, able to make a move in the Corvette-themed late model stock. And goes up in our spot, up 3. Quiet day so far for Jace. One of the newer drivers per se. Haven't seen too much of that name over the years, but a lot of these competitors here quite simply want to gain experience, want to build up runs. Jake Sylvia, surprisingly tonight, he's gone backwards here. Is he here saving the tires that hard for later on in the race, you would think, for him to be this far back?
I mean, that's what I would imagine, but, you know, you don't know. We do have a lot of experience with a lot of these guys. We recognize these names. We've seen what they have done in our record books, but with a new season, I know it's the same car and it's a lot of the same tracks, but with a new season, it's a complete reset. You gotta you can't be surprised with anything this early.
Yep. Wolf has also fallen back, by the way. Was about to mention some of the laps he was putting up here are massively off. How about half a second off the pace? What did Ethan Wolf do in the Wolfpack Sim Sports car? He has just fallen pretty far. After starting off it being in the chase group, since then he's just been out of sorts.
He's fighting back now. Let's take a look at his lap time this lap around. He's back up to a 17.5, so you just gotta wonder if he was saving that hard and maybe just waiting on a car to get to him before he got back on the attack.
He starts in a bone stock for Lefford. It's called a pure stock in Illinois. So he does have short track in real life racing experience on top of building some experience on the platform in a variety of different series as he gets himself back up to pace for the battle. Went right back to the 17.5s after going right for the jugular.
This is a great battle for sixth, by the way. This is probably the best racing on the track right now. I say that as they're starting to get a little bit spread out now and Knott is really taking control of that battle.
Doing a phenomenal job keeping up here in this scrap. In terms of a lot of these battles, the multiple race winner and Turzak just continuing to hold firm in the top 5 here. He's got Berge on the push. Are you feeling Berge? Well, look at that cut. He's able to get a good line coming out of 2. Has to go to the outside and loses the time right back with the checkup here. So, see him just playing the lines to 35 right now. Seems to be finding something, that little extra boost out of 2 to chip away the gap here with 15 a bit tight. Just can't take advantage by turn 3. Just loses all the time back.
Now with that kind of a diamond line that he is running here, trying to get around this car, you have to think of his tires long term, because you know when you cut your wheel that little extra bit to the left mid corner, it heats up those tires fast. If he wants to make this pass, he has to do it right now. And Matthew Knott is closing in on this battle. He might be able to pick up 2 spots if these two keep fighting amongst themselves.
Yep, right now, all of them staying bunched together. Knott is actually the quickest car outside of Dempster on the racetrack, by the way. He has now picked it up into the 4s, now back to the 6s again. Dempster stays in the 5s. Looking at the race leaders, they have lap traffic to deal with. They're catching up to the back of the field already. They're catching up right to James, Dean, Great, Grout, amongst those in this choo-choo train. So it's about coordination and hoping the lap traffic works with you, Gavin. Where do you prefer the lap traffic to be here? On the outside here tonight, or where's your preference?
Me personally, I just want the lap car to do the same thing that they do every lap. That way I know what's going to happen. You know, I'm faster than them if I'm leading this race. If I know where they're at, I don't have to think as much. I don't want to tell them, hey, go to the bottom, go to the top. Just keep doing what you are doing, and I will react to it.
Right now, they're doing a good job just cutting down this time.
Well, these lap cars now, they're side by side, but they're going to start letting these leaders by. We talked about that. It looks like the 71, he's going to choose to go to the top to get out of their way, tuck back in line. Maybe he's going to be able to learn a thing or two and pick up some time trying to stay in the tire tracks of these 2 leaders.
Yep. Just very much so making it easy. There are no issues from Thomas Dean. Not so easy from James. Now keep in mind some of his teammates are amidst those, trying to close the gap back up with Terzak drop it all the way down to 6 for reference. Looks like this time, able to finally get by the next corner. As next up in the order, running the Ryan Kuhn 72. That number associated with him is Ian Graves. He's planting it around the bottom of the racetrack, running well as he can at this point. Bit of a struggle right now here on the pace here tonight, unfortunately for him. Like 17.7s, that's added up to being 2/10 a lap off the pace right now. And the leaders are going to be forced to slalom it. Up the outside goes Dempster. Grates does not want to lose the lap. Now the car in front of Grout moves to the bottom for good measure also. So the leader's forced up to the high side. Grout, the 2020 425 Triple Crown Showdown winner, ends up falling a lap down as Dempster gets through and Brown gets through. A little bit of different lines they had to play there with the traffic. That's them sticking to their guns and staying line to line.
Yeah, it's great racing up to the front. And if we look now, Matthew Knott is up to battling for the 3rd position. Now it looks like he is about to be able to take that. He is just able to wrap the bottom so much better than these cars that he's been racing around, that he's been picking off one at a time. Unfortunately for him, the leaders are over 5 seconds ahead.
Now they've just taken off on average speed with what they've been able to do here, but give credit to Hardin. He's trying to become an immovable object here. Just about all red machine, with Knott taking a bump a little bit hard through the corners. So now where do you set this up if you're not? Because right now it seems like with the arrow a little bit, they're starting to get boxed in 4 or 5 cars deep in this train.
Yeah, if I'm not, I gotta be telling Aaron Hardin to either get out of the way or I might get you out of the way at this point. You are holding me up. I have cars bringing down my neck. This is not a good time for there to be a caution. There's still a lot of time left in the race. If I want there to be a caution, I want to be a little bit later than right now. He really just... I think he's going to stay in line when they get up to this lap car. I think that's when moves are about to start being made and lap traffic is going to be involved with this group of cars right here. That is 3rd place all the way back to 7th.
Wolf in the 5s last time by. Not still running quicker. Not nearly getting stepped on, in fact, by Terzak. Here comes Knott to the inside, able to finally get the poke he's been looking for. Hardin straight up the racetrack in the 77. Lap traffic is staying up on the outside too, so will the lap traffic of Thomas Dean be used as a pick? No, he'll just drive in the marbles willingly and take all the marbles with him. As Hardin is not making this easy to pass. You can defend a fair bit, at least from what we've seen over the years, Gavin. On the high side, that's what we just seen with Hardin. He does now lose the spot, though, as usually happens long term.
Yeah, now I'm going to be really interested to see how much of this 6-second lead Knott can, start taking chunks out of here as we hit the halfway mark of this race. As these two leaders are, they're within 0.2 of a second of each other. They might start racing each other. And if they start slowing each other down, Knott is really going to have to step on it and try to get chunks out of this lead and not just, pick out of the way a little bit at a time.
Everyone trying to chase down that Molly's Custom Silver belt buckle here for this championship, to say the very least, try and get that title secured. We're seeing a lot of people chipping away. Now things are considered here. Keep in mind, as we pass the halfway mark, a lot of these drivers too coming off the thrill in some of the cases of running that All-American Esports 400 that took place just in the past week or so. That was a Mystic sanctioned event as well, with Misfit sanction, I should say, sanctioned race. Big to have that in terms of that connection with Nashville Fairgrounds this past year. Take a look at some of the errors as they battle on the racetrack as we go. Meanwhile, Jake Sylvia, he's now starting to go a little bit, pushing a little bit as he can to make up some ground.
Jake Sylvia, he was a driver you talked about earlier. We were surprised to see him down in 11th. He was able to pick up 2 positions there, and he's in the top 10 now, which really isn't even in the top half of the field. Here with a series that we had 15 cars here tonight, but expect Sylvia to start picking off cars if he can get to them. He is a great driver. He is definitely better than the 9th place performance he is putting on right now.
At this point, if we get a caution, it could be interesting how much Sylvia is able to go in the long run. He's running in the 2s. Fall-off band actually not that bad in terms of the raceway. A couple tenths overall here tonight so far over the course of this one. Take a look at some of the others as we continue to zip around the circuit. Right now, others in this pack is Delaney, Hale, Owens as well. Here's the thing. They have to figure, in the case of Travis Owens, could have been a great race. Started with the invert on the outside front row, has just continuously faded. Bit shocking when you get the track position like that.
Yeah, that really is shocking to me because he was one of our very fastest qualifiers. The invert had him move back a few rows, and he just has not been able to recover. He's actually slid back a few spots since the drop of the green flag.
At this point, already coming up, it's been a busy run here. More than 80 laps of racing complete so far here on V-Speed, here in Misfit. Right now, that's 77. On track at least, 6 on your scoring. Hardin has been able to stabilize the bleeding at least. We know he was pushing hard, but he's got some good battling behind. Berge trying to make a cut alongside. Looks like he'll get shuffled as Terzak able to take away the spot. The 15 moves himself into the top 5.
You know, that's one thing that I, as a driver, always want to fight for is if I have an opportunity for that thing at the end of the race to say a top 5 instead of just a top 10, I'm going to fight very hard for it. I know that not everybody's going to fight for a position that hard that isn't the lead, but man, there's just something nice about having that extra number beside your name in the top 5 column.
Was a little bit of comments, by the way, on the pass back, by the way, so we'll have to see if the 15's willing to use a little bit of the chrome horn here to get the spot again back here. See right now, running as low as he can through some of these corners. He's actually clipped the apron a couple times. He's been trying to wrap that white line so much around here. This time gives a little bit more space. Last time by was a couple 100s quicker than the 35.
And one thing I'm noticing is look at how much the marbles have piled up on the apron and the outside line. We talked about maybe the racetrack widening out a little bit at the start of the race where you could use 2 lines, but I think if anything, the track is getting skinnier and skinnier.
I'm not sure what you mean. You mean in terms of...
Like the marbles. Like,
oh, yes. The racing group, you mean.
The racing
Okay.
group, yes.
So at this point...
The viable lines.
So how difficult will it be to actually get this established with... You can see the marbles have absolutely taken up the 3rd line. You're right. So at this point, what can you do here, especially if you get forced up there because there's so much risk that you clip the marbles with the right side tire?
I think the best way to attack the car in front of you is just stay in line, run as hard as you can. If you're faster than him, he's going to get nervous and make a mistake, and you should just be able to pass him by running the line that you are the most comfortable with running.
Make the move there, by the way. Hardin dropping all the way outside the top 5 as that conversation went on with the groove. With 55 to go. Nod has not been able to run away from this, by the way. If anything, all these drivers have stayed hooked up to the 82. So he's kind of been only able to get this entire pack, if anything. A tenth, maybe a couple tenths at most when they've been really pushing. That's just how well the top 2 have ran away, up by that 6 seconds right now.
Yeah, I think the top 2, I don't think there's any catching them unless there is a caution. I think right now the best thing you can do is stay in line, maintain your position, and hope that if a caution does come out, your tires are better than the cars in front of you.
See the reference, the leaders are here. Look at that big angle coming out of 4 right now.
And now there's third.
Yeah, that is a huge difference. That's a whole corner. That's in a whole 2 corners at least, plus half a straightaway of an advantage. A third of a lap specifically.
But I will say I'm looking over at timing and scoring right now, and Knott was able to pick up 0.2 of a second that lap. Let's see. Let's just keep an eye on that interval and watch it slowly but surely count down, because now it is down to just over 5.5 seconds.
Oh, and look at this. That might go the other way for a minute because here comes the 15. A squeeze up, a door back by Knott. Terzak and the elbows coming out with Knott as the 15 builds the speed. And there's the caution coming up. Knott spins around the back straight away. Yellow flag is out.
But Knott was able to keep it off of the wall, keep it pointed straight. He's going to get back going. He's not going to lose a lap. So you just got to think that he's going to be able to settle in line. He is going to be near the back of the pack now. So I don't know what he's going to be able to, how many spots he's going to be able to make up, but he will be able to make up some of them as we take a look at the replay of what happened here between these 2 cars.
That was from the inside. Huge hit to the inside by Berkey.
Yeah, it didn't look malicious to me. I think we take a ride along look from him. We didn't tell. Yeah, he not just came off of the wall. He was trying to keep it off the wall, and I believe that was Berkey. Tanner Berkey just was not in a great spot and ended up clipping him. And we do know that race control of the Misfit Touring Series is a very strict race control, so we got to wonder if Berkey is going to get sent to the rear of the field or not for his involvement in that caution.
There might have been a call following that. 35 is getting an EOL penalty. As we've seen on the replay, you can see why. And now they'll take it to the back of the field as a result of that sequence. But this is not what Dempster and Brown wanted to see. Their lead is gone. So now it becomes the question, can they hold on? Because Terzak has been able to build up a lot of speed in the CBM car. Harden still keeping up. Ethan Wolf has flashed some speed. There is a chance things spar up pretty quickly with the 15 showing some speed boost. And oh, don't forget, Sylvia's been saving for this moment all race.
Yeah, Sylvia has been saving. He's worked his way up to 6th. Now that everybody in front of him's tires were starting to wear out, and 2 of the cars in front of him did get collected in an incident, he's already up to row 3, so I'm going to be interested to see how much faster he's going to be able to be than the cars in front of him, and if he has enough time to pass all 4 of them, or all 5 of them.
45 laps to go when we come to the stripe. Misfit Touring Series competition. Green flag is out, back and away. Dempster chose the outside, Brown chose the inside with that result. Now the top 3, single file out. Harden stays up high side, wiggle by Brown. Here comes Terzak, covered off by Brown on the block.
Yeah, Dempster had a great restart there as he stayed in front, as there is a great battle for second going on right now. There are 5 cars under a blanket as Terzak's going to make it up to second, as they are 3 wide for 4th spot behind him.
Brown is very loose right now, has lost the bottom. Terzak takes away the team 1-2. Sylvia is up to 4th. Wolf trying to clear on by. Harden's got damage from all of the hard racing off the restart. That's to the left rear. Here comes the 14 trying to defend. Sylvia has the chance to squeeze down for the high side, though. Look at how loose things are going. The question was on the radio by one of the drivers right at the caution was, how's that right rear doing? And well, it's going around. Brown is sliding. Caution flag is out, and it brings Wolf with them. Hard contact to the back.
Yeah, that was hard contact there in the back. I'm not 100% sure which car that was that got into the 14 there at the end of that, but that is going to really hurt the 14 car. I think it was may have been the 112 that got hit.
Yeah, that was definitely
It was the 112 that got.
Oh,
Oh yeah, he got smoked. Not. That is.
There was definitely a touch there from Ethan Wolf. Absolutely, that might have started that, though, I think, Gavin.
Yeah, it was definitely some aggressive racing on the restart. Everyone's tires are probably a little bit different levels of worn. And I think there was just a little bit too much aggression as you're going to be able to ride along. Right here, the 14 bobbled a little bit, and I think he just went for a hole that wasn't there.
Now we'll see how things are handled. Wolf also is trying to get repairs done. He is out of the car. Second place qualifier today, out of the race. But this race is completely flipped with the change of one caution. Wolf does get cause of caution. Now you have Terzak going to be on the outside, and look who's coming. Jake Sylvia knows how to be feisty. He's been able to pick up a couple championships in Misfit competition. That includes some experience winning a championship in 2023-24 with the modifieds, of course, with the touring series. Has picked up a lot of success when there was a rotating class when it comes to Slater back in 2023-24. That car and that driver knows how to run on the long run, and he's been waiting for the chance to pounce for this restart. Coming up with 38 to go, coming up 37.
As you see the cars lining up for the restart here, I am really curious to see how many more cautions we have, because, you know, they are really, really fighting for every position right now. I think Jake Sylvia is potentially in the best spot of any driver. I'm going to let you take over right here as we're going green.
Green flag is out. We're back underway. Bottled up pretty much there on the restart as Dempster hugs the bottom. Comes Sylvia. Sylvia, the Rhode Island-based driver, looking to slide along, but Terzak looking to the outside of Dempster. Take away the preferred group for the corner exit for the 24. He's forced to leave space. Dempster is side by side, up for the second spot. Now side by side for the race lead. The 15 gets the poke.
Yeah, the 15 is there now, and Dempster's going to have trouble getting as much speed on corner exit now, because he can't use all of the track. There's a whole nother lane that he is having to be aware of. There is a car on his outside, and there's a little bit of contact for a second there, as Jake Sylvia is really, really pushing hard right now.
Look at this chance here for Kyle. He's up to the door, the numbers. Now alongside the front bumper. He squeezes down. Terzak trying to pinch. He's got the one. Kyle Terzak takes the race lead. His first lap of the day. He does it with 33 to go. Dempster falls down to second. Sylvia also trying to use the outside groove. Dempster takes it away and cuts over instead.
Yeah, Terzak is loving what he's seeing behind him. Just while these two cars are battling so hard behind him, he can set sail and run a even line and not tear up his tires. As you just saw Dempster get in the marbles a little bit and really, really mess up his momentum, as he is now having to deal with the 9 car of Jace Hale.
Where did Hale come from? But the caution flag is out. It's Travis Owens. The 0-2 car's gone around, and that comes at a very interesting time as things started heating up. Berkey gets involved. That's his second, and remember, penalty policy. It's EOL in the first. If you get caused for a second one, you can get a penalty where you have to pass through pit road. That they just called a racing incident. They did not call that on the 35. It's our first racing deal of the season, Gavin.
Yeah, it looked like he was just loose coming out of turn 4 there. You know, these tires have 120 laps on them, so. sometimes it's just a racing deal. Not every incident has someone where you have to blame. And I think it probably helps both of their cases that they were near the back of the pack anyway, and it just makes it easier on race control to deem it a racing incident.
Yep, can confirm 0-2 was loose. Race control just to get the clarification, saying there wasn't the time enough to check up as we've seen with the replay. So it's going to be interesting here with this. Kyle Terzak will get the chance to control things here with Jake Sylvia up front. Different players with an opportunity to go here. So it's going to be a fun time here. Sylvia getting ready to try and build something up. You can tell Terzak going to have to feel the pressure here, be able to withstand things. Kyle's been a long-time sim racer here in iRacing. So how do you play this if you're the 15 Gavin?
I mean, I think you just don't make a mistake. I know that's way easier to say than to do, but you know, you've been fast all night. You've worked your way up to the lead on these last few restarts. There is no reason that you have to tell yourself there's no reason I shouldn't be leading this race. I have had the best race up until this moment. I should be able to finish these last 25 laps strong.
Terzak chose the inside line, so he'll try and hug the bottom here in the Bodie Motorsports machine. Yeah, Sylvia to the outside. Green flag is out. Look at that. Lined it up with Sylvia, pushed up the track, diming it down, taking a Dale Shaw book out of that page. Sylvia's been uprooted to the third line by Hale. Hale squeezes up and hits him.
Hale and Sylvia into each other. Not good. They're going to stay green, though, as it looks like. And Sylvia's already on pit road. His race probably over at this point. Yeah, Sylvia. There's no caution, and Terzak is driving away from the cars that are behind him.
Sylvia not happy, to say the least, obviously, with that one. But the battles are on with Harden up to second again. Dempster, he's been way floaty as this run's gone on here. Look at who's making some up-roads. Jake Grout, who was at one point in the midst of being lapped, if not already lapped, has found his way to third.
And that's one thing we talked about at the start of the race. These guys don't have any tires. Maybe him getting lapped, maybe he didn't get lapped on purpose, but you have to think of, he did get lapped, but maybe it was a strategy plan. Maybe he was, okay with not using as much tire, and now that's paying off for him as he is one of the faster cars on the track battling for a top 3 position.
They are giving technical warnings to Delaney, by the way, who's in the midst of all this too. Steve tries to handle his internet connection right now. All that's well. Coming to 20 laps to go. Grout still can't find a way around here. Here comes Berge. He's gone from the back to the front after the EOL. He is pushing in the 17 flats. Terzak has gone in the 16/8 for reference. We're turning some of our fastest laps of the race right this minute.
Yeah, all these caution laps that were back to back to back really helped. Obviously the tires are not new, but they are a lot cooler than they have been in probably 100 laps. So these guys are loving the way these race cars feel right now, especially Kyle Terzak with a huge lead of over 2 seconds. If this stays green, this is his race to lose. He just needs to keep hammering down and building as much of a lead as he can, as quick as he can.
Dempster continues to sail back. It went from perfect sailing in clean air to you have to wonder what happened to the tires here. 24, it just doesn't look like it's turning so easily right now. It's just struggling like a boat.
Yeah, I mean, he is, you can really tell on corner entry to corner center how tight he is as there's contact. No caution yet. It looks like everybody collected it.
Yeah, Harden actually moved Grout at the same time as that air contact. Grout now moving up a spot. So, all this as well. Delaney's also making a charge. See him making the move on the inside. That 88 going with the silverish decal look for everything here tonight. Trying to find a way to get himself to ghost his way to the race lead. Downside, they've lost 3 seconds with this fight for second with 13 to go at the stripe. Oh, in contact with the air. Berge gets pushed up out of the groove. That's not what you like to see with the internet, and that's where importance of that comes into play. Delaney is in the second.
Yeah, that looks like it might have just been pure net code there. I don't think there was really any contact, but Berge is back on the attack, and it looks like he's in a clearing.
Yeah, took it right back. Delaney missed the corner. Now, they're at this point losing about a 10 to 3/10 per lap to Kyle up in the front of the field. Oh, while Jace Hale in the second pack, pushing Harden up. It's the move, not looking to do the same. You have to wonder how Harden's car is feeling. A lot of hits to burn up those rear tires here, and the rear fender is crushed in. Yeah, that quarter panel just crumpled right with the spoilers, but isn't hitting the spoilers.
I'm trying to take a look at the damage. I am not seeing any, but oh yeah, there it is. That is definitely a damaged race car. Doesn't look like it should bother him too much. I think that might honestly just be cosmetic. He might be able to hang on to it, you know.
Oh, we just heard of a problem. Grant Brown just confirmed on the radio. Remember, one of the drivers involved in the instance. He just blew a right rear tire. He is done. So the rear tire definitely didn't last. He almost made it, but he ends up blowing a tire. That's a concern. Does anybody else pop up a tire?
Yeah, and now you got to start really worrying about it because we only have 7 laps to go. But if we start seeing tire failures, who knows? That 7 laps could turn into a green-white checker, and that could turn into another and even another. We get 3 attempts at a green-white checker here in the Misfit Touring Series.
Trying to wrap things up as clean as they can, get the spots they can.
As we say that, there is a little bit of contact.
Yeah, right on cue. Why not? A little bit of aggression popping up here as we see bounced Wolf. We go up towards the front again, though, with 5 laps to go. Berge holds off Delaney. Delaney continues to just rip his rear tires to shreds here on these entries.
You know what? There's only 5 laps to go at this point. I would just be pushing as hard as I can. Don't worry about those tires. If it pops, it pops. There's nothing you could have done about it. Caution late in the race. Caution is out. I mentioned a green-white checkered, and I think we're going to get one.
Out of turn 4, Harden and Jesse James. And we'll have to see what they call on race control here because there's the contact. Not sure if they got stuck there or not. Yeah, that was like they got super glue.
The thing about iRacing is we do have an onboard camera with every car, and we're going to be able to take a look right here and see what happens.
Yeah, that's something you see on a road course, not on an oval where you get super glue. In the words of Paul Smith, watch the glue. Here's the 60. James does get cause of caution.
Yeah, he had a huge run. I don't know if he knew how big that run was, or if at that point he thought that he could move the 77 without drawing a caution. But he could not if that was the case.
Zach's lead was more than 3 seconds. That lead wiped away cleanly. And it's green-white checker territory. Remember, get to the white flag, it's a race to the checker. Quite simple. We do have in sim tonight 3 attempts available at the green-white checkered. And now for Kyle, This is the worst nightmare, is trying to hold off a Hornet's Nest. Remember, Delaney was pushing before some side-by-side. Berge, he can push into the 16s like he can. It's going to be tough to be able to hold on for 2 more laps here.
Yeah, you got to think, if you're Kyle Terzak, you got to be worrying about those tires, because he was absolutely abusing them that last run with how big of a lead he was able to build up that fast. So you got to wonder if your tires are going to be a little bit hotter than everyone else's coming to this restart, if these cars behind you, especially Dylan Delaney, who will be lined up directly behind him, is going to be able to make a move in what that is going to look like, as we are lined up coming to green this time around.
Here we go. Coming up to the restart. 2 laps to go. Watch Terzak try and use the diamond. Timed up by Berge, though. Berge keeps it at least to the fender. Can he get to the numbers by the exit? No. The outside doesn't have enough momentum. Single file for the race lead. Coming up to the last lap. Berge tries to hold the lanes. Now holds on to the bottom. Might have to use the bumper on the final time around.
Yeah, Berge went from playing offense to playing defense there with these 2 cars behind him, as he gets really loose, and Terzak is loving the 3-wide action behind him.
Kyle Terzak comes out of turn number 4. He's able to hold on. 37 laps led. Kyle Terzak wins the race to start off the season at 5 Flags.
What a performance for Kyle Terzak. He only led 37 laps, but he led the right 37 laps. As the later the race went on, he just picked off a few positions after a few positions. Started in 4th, so he didn't have that much ground to make up. But man, what a performance by Terzak there at the end of the race.
Delaney and Berge get on the podium with him. Give them a chance to join in on the celebration as the 15 gets himself another win in Misfit competition. These wins have been stacking up. Double-digit winner comes to his time in Misfit competition in the Touring Series.
He's really enjoying his burnout here. He is savoring every second of it with a long celebration.
So long that the other drivers already left the podium. So, at this point, these drivers finish things up. What a race here tonight. The drivers getting a chance set up for virtual victory lane. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results. Kyle Terzak gets the win here tonight over Delaney and Berge. Then it's Groudon not in the top 5. Hale Greats the top 7. James does recover to 8th after his situation on the last caution of the race. Owens and Dempster. If this race went green, we might have been talking to Dempster. Instead, he finishes 10th tonight.
Yeah, and outside of the top 10, we have Ethan Wolf in 11th, Thomas Dean 12th, Aaron Harden 13th, Grant Brown 14th, Jake Sylvia 15th, and Brandon Wind 156 laps down. I'm kind of questioning it if he even got to take the green tonight.
Nope, he did not. He was originally supposed to start, had qualified the car, but didn't start the car here tonight. So top to bottom at your running order here tonight in this one. So your field gets a chance to celebrate some runs. Our top 3 is already standing along by. It's Kyle Turkey who gets the win. Kyle Terzak comes away with the race win here tonight. How are you feeling, Kyle? You had to work for this one a few times over.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I didn't really realize we had to save that much until we were practicing, and I'm going on a 10-lap race run, and I realized that if you pushed every single lap, well, not push, but not go harder than average, you lose more than 0.5% a lap. So I knew that we definitely had to save a lot, and Cody and Grant was a great example of that. They charged through the field pretty good there, and got that huge gap on us. And as soon as that caution came out, I thought that they might be okay, but as soon as we went green, I saw that they were slipping and sliding. So, to be fair, I think if we stayed green, I think they might have got us. I was starting to push there as soon as the caution came out, and I was getting them, but I don't think it was going to be enough. I was only about a tenth faster a lap, but they built up such a big gap that I don't think I could get back to them, and that caution really saved me. I got my Grant right there, and I knew that they were going to be really defensive, and I kind of knew that. So on that restart, I was right, and Dempster was starting to push me up the track. So I just put him on the dash and just drove around him, and it definitely wasn't easy after that, but I would say that definitely helped. Getting past Cody and him getting in Sylvia off that restart.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, it was interesting to say the very least how things broke down tonight. But let me ask you this in terms of the tires. I'm curious on this part as well. You mentioned some of the saving factors there. How close were you to a tire puncture? We actually seen a couple drivers, including Grant Brown, pop the rear tires over this race. How were those tires over the course of the run to make sure you didn't get to the point where they fell off like some of the drivers did, where some of them were falling off by 9/10 over the course of some of the long runs?
Yeah, I had 30% left in the right rear, so around that 20%, 25% mark is when you really start to feel it, and as soon as you get to that point, you're in trouble. You start slipping and sliding, can't really control the car as much, and I kind of knew that, um, you know, as soon as we went green there, and I saw Grant, he did down in the pits, and he said he blew right here. I was like, well, there you go. So we were right on the edge. I feel like that this race definitely showed that you had to save some tire with this car. Not really saying that this car doesn't not have saving in it. It's just with how hot the track was tonight. It was actually really fun in my opinion.
Well, the next race on the schedule, you end up going to, this is going to be an interesting one, North Wilkesboro. Of course, on iRacing, there's a new version of it. Back the last time you guys ran it was still the 1987 edition when it comes to the touring series. How do you feel about the new version?
It's okay. It's really a lot harder to pass there, in my opinion, than the old one, and has actually, believe it or not, it feels like it has less overall grip for some reason than the 87. So, um, yeah, it's just that new Wilkesboro is going to be interesting. But I don't know. I think I can make to that one. Just depends with my schedule because we're going real life racing here in a couple of weeks, so hopefully we can make to that one. But the new Wilkesboro, we ran it a couple of weeks ago in the Iverson officials, and it was very hard to pass. But once you got that green flag around, it was a lot of fun.
On that note, anyone who want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Adams for putting this on. Not a lot of cars tonight, but hey, we got 16, and we're just a growing league here. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Thank you guys for coming out. Arkansas Help Shop for everything they do for me with setups wise. Corey Buddy Designs is amazing. Number 15, Hot Shot Photography for the best iRacing photography. Matthew Designs for all the real life designs on Turns Like Racing on Facebook.
Congratulations on the win here tonight, Mr. Turkey.
Thank you.
Making reference to his Discord name for reference there, Kyle Turzak coming away with the race win here tonight in this one. Dylan Delaney comes away second. He is with Gavin.
Dylan, you made a very impressive run there towards the end of the race. You found yourself in the right place at the right time through a lot of that race. Can you walk us through getting up to second place?
Yeah. So I just want to start with qualifying. I got pole somehow. I did not realize that, so I'm gonna pat myself on the back for qualifying P1. Invert was P6, so I was able to just conserve our tires. I know we were talking in our Discord just how we wanted to run the race since we only had like 16, 17 cars, so we didn't realize there were going to be a lot of cautions. So we were just conserving tire as much as possible. And then once the cautions started to fall, we were able to avoid a couple and just keep our nose clean and try to make it to the front. Luckily, I had just enough to run at the end to get past Tanner for P2.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about there were a few tire failures there towards the end of the race. Did you check your tire wear towards the end of the race, and if so, what was it on?
So after the race I checked and I was at about 0.25%. I was at about 25-ish%. I know I saw a couple guys go out early in the run, and they were just flying by everyone trying to like just get out in front. I don't know if they started saving later, but they were hustling from the start. So I don't know what strategy they wanted, but no, we were able to conserve enough and got us a nice podium finish.
Yeah. Do you have anybody you want to thank, whether that be, your sponsors, team, friends, family?
Yeah, no, I'll thank Ryan Kuna at RKM Setup Shop for providing the sets for us. They are bad fast. And I want to shout out 918 Custom Designs for putting on this really cool late model stock that I got.
All right. Well, thank you, Dylan. It was a great race to watch you tonight, and I enjoy getting to call these races.
Awesome. Thank you.
Don Delaney coming away second tonight as Tanner Berge comes away in the third position. Tanner, how would you describe things here tonight? You had to power your way back to the top three after some of the ULs.
Yeah, it was definitely a different race. A lot of saving. Most of the time you get tires, and I don't know what was different today, but one set and had to make it work.
Yeah, was going to say, how difficult was it to save and then try and find a way to speed later? We've seen a lot of different approaches where some drivers faded and saved, some drivers saved from the get-go and then rose to the top. What was kind of your thought process on how to approach it?
Yeah, I was following Turkzak most of the time, and I figured he knew what he was doing pretty good. So just kind of try and keep pace with him, and then with like 50 to go, had to go to the back and just kind of threw the saving out the window and got back to the front.
So what's your approach going to be for North Wilkesboro next week?
I don't know. I don't know what the tire situation is or anything, but normally that track you're sliding around the entire time. So probably a little bit similar to what it was tonight, just trying to save and be there at the end.
Any show you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my crew chief, Tyler Muller, keeping me safe. Unfortunately, he's banned from MRL right now, so free Muller. He really helped me get back to the front there.
Congratulations, you're on the podium tonight.
Thank you.
Tanner Berge coming able to get himself on the podium tonight in Misfit Touring Series competition. I'd like to thank the top three for speaking with us during post-race coverage here on V-Speed. Your final thoughts tonight, Gavin, is in the end, we end up going from a long green flag run to start to cautions breed cautions, but in the end, it came down to who had the better tires.
Yeah, that goes along with our, pre-race thing. We talked about all night how tires were going to be important, and it really showed there at the end. Congratulations to Kyle Turzak picking up the first win of this brand new season. And another thing I want to point out is there were a few drivers who we expected to be up towards the front who ended up struggling there at the end of the race, most notably Jake Sylvia, who ended up 15th. He is already in a hole for points that he is going to have all season to dig himself out of. It is going to be fun to watch how this points battle shakes out down the stretch here all year long.
I know it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage here of Misfit Touring Series, brought to you by RaceMRL.com. Busy night coming to a close here from Five Flags. I'd like to thank everyone for taking part here tonight, and also Dougie Beer for the cameras, Morgan Cook as a producer, and of course Gavin Grums, our color commentator tonight. I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching V-Speed's coverage of Misfit and its touring series for the start of a new season. We'll see you next time, next week, for North Wilkesboro.
With Jonathan Parker, he lost
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.